Hey kings and queens and royal beings, my name is Jessica. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So first of all, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully 2021 is just better for everyone. So with the new year, that means that there's just a bunch of books that are going to be released in 2021. So for today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys some of my most anticipated releases. Well, this is just books that I'm really excited for because I don't really have a specific list. I'm excited for a bunch of books. So I do want to preface this by saying this is only for the months of January through March, and this is not including my historical romances and the Latinx books that are coming out this year, because then this video would have just been so freaking long. Probably going to be doing, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be doing my historical releases sometime soon, but I am definitely going to be doing a separate video for Latinx books, at least for the first half of the year, depending on how long the list is. For the second half, I don't really have like a lot of books. I'm just like kind of losing track. I tried keeping track. I have a spreadsheet, but it's not complete. Also do want to say, I know I'm missing a lot of books. I tried to find as many books that are going to be coming out that I was excited for, but it's a bit difficult to find that. So I know that there's a bunch of other people who have posted books that they're excited for 2021. So yeah. Anyway, let's get started, because for January through March, I have a list of, I think, 15 or 16 books. So hopefully this won't be super long. So coming out in January 5th is City of the Plague God by Sarawat Chada. And this is a Rick Riordan Presents book. And this is, of course, a middle grade fantasy based on Mesopotamian gods. And when I first found out about this book, I was thrilled, because first of all, I love the Rick Riordan Presents book, and also I've heard like nothing from Mesopotamian gods. I was like just so excited, and then like I just really love the covers. They're just always so cool to me. So this follows 13-year-old Sikander Aziz, and after the death of his brother, he just wants to live a normal life where he goes to school in the mornings and in the evening helps out with his family's deli. That's pretty much what's happening, but that all changes when Nergal, the god of plague and war, comes looking for him because he believes that Sik holds the secret for eternal life. When he's not able to get it, he unleashes a plague onto the city of New York. And so with the help of Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, and her adopted daughter Belet, and Sik's late brother's best friend Mo, the four of them go on a mission to try to find the flower of immortality to save New York City. Content warnings for Islamophobia, death of a family member. I think it's just mentioned. Obviously the grief of going through it, and then plague. So illness. Coming out in January 12th is The Ruthless Lady's Guides to Wizardry by C.M. Wagner. So this follows Delaria Wells, and she is a hard-drinking petty thief who is once again down on her luck. One day she sees a want ad for a female bodyguard and somehow manages to fast talk her way into getting the job, because like she's down on her luck. Her mom, I believe, is an alcoholic, and she's just trying to get a better life. So she's hired along with a group of other women to protect this rich young lady from being assassinated. And when Deli gets the job, at first she thinks that this is like just such a super cushy job, like, and that the threats are just greatly exaggerated. But she's proven wrong when there is just this series of attacks towards this young lady. So her and the team have to like try to find a way to keep her safe, especially because it seems like there is a higher power of like wizard, I guess, trying to kill the girl, not Deli. Well, Deli too, I'm assuming. So there's magic, and then along the way she begins to fall for Win, who is another member of the guards. So there's magic, there's fighting, there's romance. What more can you ask for? Next up, we have Shipped by Angie Hockman, and this is coming out January 19th. Between taking night classes for her MBA and her demanding day job at a cruise line, marketing manager Henley Evans barely has time for herself, let alone family, friends, or dating. But once she's shortlisted for the promotion of her dreams, all her sacrifices finally seem worth it. The only problem? Graham Crawford Collins, the remote social media manager and the bane of her existence, is also up for the position. Although they've never met in person, their epic email battles are the stuff of office legend. Their boss tasks each of them with drafting a proposal on how to boost bookings in the Galapagos. Best proposal wins the promotion. There's just one catch. They have to go on a company cruise to the Galapagos Islands together. But when the two meet on the ship, Henley is shocked to discover that the real Graham is nothing like she imagined. They explore the islands together. She soon finds the line between loathing and liking thinner than a postcard. With her career dreams in her sights and a growing attraction to the competition, Henley begins questioning her life choices. Because what's the point of working all the time if you never actually live? Kind of seems a little too... not coming of age, because seems like homegirl kind of already has her life somewhat handled. Next up, we have Wings of Ebony by J.L., and this is coming out January 26th. This is about a girl named Rue, and one day her mother is killed on her doorstep, and when this happens, obviously her life is changed forever. And Rue discovers that she is half god when she is taken by the father that she's never met before to the island of Gazan, which is full of magic wielders. On the anniversary of her mother's death, Rue runs away from the island to go back to her sister. Upon returning to Houston, she discovers that Black children are being forced into a life full of violence and crime, and her sister is on the verge of falling sway into what took her mother's life. Rue soon realizes that the evil that is plaguing East Row is actually the same one that is in Gizan, and it'll stop at nothing to take away everything that she loves. So in order to save her neighborhood and the people in it, Rue must embrace her true identity and wield the full magnitude of her ancestors' power before the gods burn it all to the ground. Last book in January is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and this releases January 31st. So this is a retelling for Dracula's Brides, and this follows a woman named Constantina when she is saved from the brink of death by a mysterious stranger and is then transformed from a medieval peasant into a bride for an undying king. When her husband Dracula draws in an aristocrat and a starving artist into his web of passion and deceit, Constantina realizes just how capable her beloved husband is of doing terrible things. So she turns to her rival consorts for comfort, and the three soon begin to unravel their husband's dark secrets. First of all, again, cover awesome, Dracula's Brides, vampires, polyness, let's fucking go. So now we're on to February, and first being released on February 2nd is Much Ado About You by Samantha Young. And this follows a 33-year-old woman named Evangeline Starling, and she lives in Chicago, and she just feels like something is missing in her life. And when she is actually passed up for a promotion at work, she realizes that she just needs to take charge of her life and make some changes. So she plans a holiday in an English village, and included in the package, I guess, is a temporary position at Much Ado About Books, which is the local bookstore that is below her rental apartment. And for a lifelong Shakespearean lover like Evie, this is just a dream vacation, which, to be honest, me too. It sounds like a great time. So on her arrival, she is swept into the lives of the friendly villagers, including Roan Robson, the charismatic and sexy farmer who loves to flirt with Evie. Evie knows that this is just a very temporary living situation, and she knows that doing a holiday romance can really only lead to heartbreak. So she's doing her best to keep Rowan at bay, but just sparks are flying. Chemistry is just unmatched, and of course romance is gonna ensue. What do you expect? I have the e-arc of this, so I'm going to be getting started on this very, very soon. Hopefully I enjoy it, and if I do, I will definitely be purchasing this book when it comes out. So also being released on February 6th is What Big Teeth by Rose Sabo, and this is following a girl named Eleanor, and when she was younger, she was sent by her family to St. Brigand's boarding school and hasn't seen nor spoken to any of her family members in years. And she was really young when this happened, so she really only has like the vaguest of memories about her family. This barrel full of water that her mother was always, like literally always swimming in, and the hunting trips in the dark woods with her sister and her cousin. One thing she never forgets is like these looks that her family members would give her as if she was the strange one in her family. So she finally builds the courage to return home, and when she gets there she discovers that her family's just like waiting for her. And this is pretty much because of her grandmother, I guess, who kind of has like the sight almost, and because her grandma's like, we knew you were coming, something along the lines. Just they knew she was coming back. Just as Eleanor is beginning to settle in, a strange and sudden death shocks the family, and Eleanor is now on her own to deal with the new dynamic. Soon Eleanor calls on her other grandma, Grandmere, I think that's how you would say it, for help. And at first she brings order to the household, but soon it just turns to madness and tyranny. Tyranny, I don't know. So to try to get things back in order, Eleanor must embrace the ways of her family and must join forces with her late grandma to confront the monstrousness lurking in her Grandmere. So I'm not really one for like horror-esque, but this seems very, well, this is obviously very supernatural as well. But either way, it just sounds really cool. Next up, we have The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. This is being released February 9th. Angrboda's story begins where most witches' tales ends, with a burning. So this is following a woman named Angrboda, and she's punished by Odin for refusing to tell him the future. The fire that she's been burned in has left her powerless and very, very weak. So she flees into the farthest reaches of the forest, and there she is found by a man who reveals himself to be Loki. So initially she's very, very distrustful of him, but as time goes on, it turns into love, obviously. As the years go by, they have 3 children, and each child actually holds a secret destiny, and Angrboda is keen to raise them safely hidden from Odin's all-seeing eye. As the years are going on, she's beginning to recover her prophetic powers and soon discovers that her happy life, and possibly all of existence, is in danger. With the help of the huntress Skadi, Angrboda must choose whether she will accept the fate of her family or if she will rise to remake their future. Once again, cover, magnificent, Loki. I'm there. I'm so ready. The next book that is being released on February 15th is Music of the Night by Angela J. Ford. This is a Phantom of the Opera retelling. So I literally just discovered this last night, and I was like, oh, I have to include this in my list. Like, it just sounds amazing, so good. When Arya's father dies, she is left broken. She is left broke and all alone, and to avoid working the streets, she becomes the ward of a count and moves to a town called Hightower. Hightower is home to a world-renowned theater where people from all over the world come to be seduced by a night of unforgettable entertainment. But while people are coming and visiting, and like this is like such a huge highlight of the town, there are also many, many warnings to stay away from its dark enchantments. And unfortunately, Arya is forced to ignore it when she strikes a deal with the Count. So the deal is she has to learn how to sing in order to avoid an arranged marriage. So one night she discovers a mysterious man in the tower, and she begs to learn the secret of song. And at first he doesn't want to teach her, but eventually agrees. In between emotional singing lessons and late night meetings, Arya begins to fall for her instructor. But something sinister is, of course, lurking in the shadows. Soon horror strikes the evening reveries, and the mysterious instructor is rumored to be behind it. And of course, Arya is unwilling to believe that her beloved is behind it all, but little does she know that her instructor also has possibly darker plans for her as well. This is a standalone, and of course, like I said, a Phantom of the Opera retelling, and it's said to have a very dark and steamy romance, which, like, yes, I'm ready. Next being released on February 23rd is A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. For centuries, the 8 courts of folk have lived among us, concealed by magic and bound by law to do no harm to humans. This arrangement has long kept the peace in the courts until a series of gruesome and ritualistic murders rock the city of Toronto and threatens to expose fairies to the human world. 4 queer teens, each who hold a key piece of the truth behind these murders, must form a tenuous alliance in their effort to track down the mysterious killer behind these crimes. If they fail, they risk the destruction of the fairy and human worlds alike. If that's not bad enough, there's a war brewing between the immortal and immortal realms, and one of these teens is destined to tip the scale. The only question is, which way? So the last book in February is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers, and this is being released February 23rd. 28-year-old Grace Porter has just gotten her PhD in astronomy, and to celebrate, she decides to go on a girls' trip to Vegas. Grace is your stereotypical straight-A high achiever, and she's not the kind of person to go to Vegas, get drunk, and wake up married, but yet that's exactly what happens to her. This choice kind of makes her start to wonder why her life doesn't feel as fulfilled as she thought it would be, especially after just finishing getting her degree. So she's feeling very overwhelmed by her father's expectations and struggling to find a job in her field. So she ends up running away to New York City for the summer with her stranger wife. While in New York, she's able to push back all the thoughts of her future, and she soon begins to fall for her beautiful wife, Yuki Yamamoto. She can only hold back inevitable, and soon she has to face what she's been running from. Excited because like in her late 20s, which like basically there, I just turned 26. Granted, I didn't go to college, I only did like a year, but still, like, it just seems like something that I can really relate to in the terms of like what's going to happen in my future, what am I going to do. So next up, we have the March releases, and first is Down Comes the Night by Alison Saft, and this is being released March 2nd. Ren Sutherland's reckless use of magic has cost her everything. She's been dismissed from the Queen's Guard and separated from her best friend, the girl she loves. So when a letter arrives from a reclusive lord asking Ren to come to his estate, Colwick Hall, to cure his servant from a mysterious illness, she seizes the chance to redeem herself. The mansion is crumbling, ice winds haunt the caved-in halls, and her eccentric host forbids her from leaving her room after dark. Worse, Ren's patient isn't a servant at all, but Hal Cavendish, the infamous Reaper of Vesria and her kingdom's sworn enemy. Hal also came to Colwick Hall for redemption, but the secrets in the estate may lead both of them to their deaths. With sinister forces at work, Ren and Hal realize they'll have to join together if they have any hope of saving their kingdoms. But as Ren circles closer to the nefarious truth behind Hal's illness, realize they have no escape from the monsters within the mansion. All they have is each other and a startling desire that could be their downfall. Next up, we have A Trial of Sorcerers by Elise Kova, and this is being released March 4th. 17-year-old Ira, I think that's how you pronounce it, but I actually don't think that's how you pronounce it, but Ira Landon has always lived in the shadows of her older brother, of her magic's whisperers, and of the person she accidentally killed. Ira is the most unwanted apprentice, but that all changes when she decides to compete for a spot in the Tournament of Five Kingdoms. In this tournament, she's up against the best sorcerers in the Empire to become one of the 4 champions, and she finds herself excelling in this tournament. So her success has earned her an invitation to the royal court, and there she discovers her rare talent for forbidden magic. And at midnight, she meets a handsome elfin ambassador. But of course, rewards rarely come without risk. And she finds as she comes more and more into the spotlight, her past that she wasn't even really aware of is starting to come back to haunt her. Next up, we have Actor Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I wrote Talia Brown. It's Talia Hibbert who is the author. This is the 3rd book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and this is being released March 9th. So this is following the youngest sister, Eve Brown, kind of all over the place, and really no matter what she does, it always seems to kind of just like go to shit. And eventually her parents they grow tired of it. She finds out about an open chef position at Bed and Breakfast. She goes to the interview. She meets Jacob Wayne, who is, of course, the owner of the Bread and Breakfast. And Jacob Wayne is a perfectionist, and he is determined to make his bed and breakfast just the top. And he's very controlling, very much like a rule abider. So, of course, when he meets Eve, he's like, fuck no. Like, absolutely not. No way in hell. And then, of course, Eve hits him with her car. She says it's an accident, but he's like, fuck that. Like, no. There's no way. I just told you no. There's no way this is an accident. But either way, he finds himself with a broken arm. His bed and breakfast is incredibly understaffed, and Eve is determined to help him out. But she's just very chaotic, and she's just all over the place. He sees that she's basically just like infiltrated his job, his kitchen, and his spare bedroom. So of course they're spending all this time together. You got the grumpy, like cold man and the chaotic sunshine girl. Of course, like, stuff's gonna happen, romance is gonna ensue. Talia Hibbert always gives me like fantastic, like, opposite characters. I have incredibly high hopes. I loved the other two Brown Sisters books, and they were just so good. So I'm very excited for this one. So the last book that I'm going to talk about is Sing Me Forgotten by Jessica S. Olsen, and this is also being released to March 9th. Isda does not exist, at least not beyond the opulent walls of the opera house. Cast into a well at birth for being one of the magical few who can manipulate memories when people sing, she was saved by Cyril, the opera house's owner. Since that day, he has given her sanctuary from the murderous world outside. All he asks in return is that she uses her power to keep ticket sales high, and that she stay out of sight. Or if anyone discovers she survived, Isda and Cyril would pay with their lives. But Isda breaks Cyril's cardinal rule when she meets Emmerich Rodin, a charming boy who throws her quiet, solitary life out of balance. His voice is unlike any she's ever heard, but the real shock comes when she finds in his memories hints of a way to finally break free of her gilded prison. Haunted by this possibility, Isda spends more and more time with Emmerich, searching for answers in his music and his past. But the price of freedom is steeper than Isda could ever know. For even as she struggles with her growing feelings for Emmerich, she learns that in order to take charge of her own destiny, she must become the monster the world tried to drown in the first place. And of course, this is also a Phantom of the Opera retelling. So those are only some of the books that I'm excited for. Once again, I am going to do a Latinx book, and I'm still thinking about whether I'm going to do a historical romance edition. Just depends and how this one goes, because I do want to film my last book haul for 2020, even though it is 2021. But like I said, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave a comment what books you guys are excited for, and if I'm missing any that you think I should add to this list. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.